What's up, guys? Mike here, backing up with another video back in the summer circuit. We're moving to defense today. We're talking about my favorite position to scout across any medium, and that's the edge rushers, because who doesn't love to see some quarterbacks getting fucking smoked? And I don't really think that this class is as strong as it was last year. There's no transcendent player. There's not a guy that I think is really worthy of like a top 3 pick, like there obviously was last year with Myles Garrett, who was the highest graded player I've ever done. This year, it's good. It's a solid class, but there's not that elite guy. There's a couple of guys I think that are obviously first round talents. Just as far as where I would take them, we'd be looking more at top 10, top 15 guys rather than like potential first overall. And let's get into my favorite of the bunch, Harold Landry out of Boston College. 6'5", 250, very well-rounded player, not just a pure pass rusher. Knows for the football, man. Creates turnovers. If the ball's on the ground and Boston College is on defense, he's probably coming up with that ball. Had a very good bowl game, I remember. Harold Landry is one of the easiest evaluations I had to do for this summer circuit and for my preseason rankings and everything, because he was still fresh in my mind because I had watched 5 or 6 games for him late before he decided to go back for his senior year anyways. And I thought that if he had come out in last year's class, he probably would have been in the discussion of guys like Taco Charlton, TJ Watt, Derek Barnett, kind of that like 15 to 25, 15 to 30 range. Wasn't going to be up there with guys, in my opinion, like Carl Lawson and Myles Garrett, obviously. But I think this year, with it being a little bit of a drop-off in talent, the edge rush position, I think he fits in very well as the edge rusher number 1. I've actually got him as my 7th overall player in this preseason process, as Prince Kraken is losing his fucking mind in the background. And I feel like Landry doesn't really have a lot to improve on. He showed he's a very well-rounded defender, doesn't get swallowed up in the run game, can actually set a physical edge, has no real pass rush moves. That might be what he returned to. He's able to win purely off of athleticism, but I feel like he's still... I mean, he led the nation in sacks last year. He had 16.5 sacks. The guy knows how to get to the ball, whether it's a passing play or a running play. I love the kid. Hope he does... hope he follows up last year with an even better senior season, if that's even possible. Really think that if he continues what he did last year, we've got an easy top 10 pick. Arden Key out of LSU stepped away from the team, and I wasn't really high on Arden Key to begin with, mostly because I'm not a big fan of those tall, lanky, undersized pass rush specialists, like you're in the past, Barkevious Mingos, Dion Jordans, Randy Gregory's. These guys tend not to work out. Danielle Hunter is the only one I can think of that was slight in stature, tall, and has done well in the NFL. The other guys, they've been very quick flameouts. Arden Key was only, 230 last year? He looked like he was about 215, 220. They're claiming he's 250 now, and I don't buy it. I'll believe it when I see it. The guy gets swallowed up in the run game. His max for me right now is a very good pass rush specialist, and that upside for him to potentially grow in, and if the 250, 255 that he's claiming he's weighing in at is true, I'm factoring that in. So right now he's in the top 15 on my board, but I'm very weary of it. Going to be a big season for him to prove it. I don't buy into this, the next Myles Garrett, narrative. I'm very, very cautious of him right now. Bradley Chubb out of North Carolina State, brother of Nick Chubb, the running back at Georgia. This kid's fucking good too. 6'4", 6'5", 265. Watched 3 games on him. North Carolina was one I watched. I watched the bowl game against Vanderbilt, and I believe Clemson was the third game I watched. Great games in all of them. Great at converting speed to power. Very strong kid. Not really going to blow you away with anything, but he's just very kind of like a Harold Landry. He's just always finding his way towards the quarterback and potentially getting involved in the play. And I love something like that because it's very coachable at the next level. He's very refined, but he still has a lot of room to grow. Someone who is not very refined is Clelin Ferrell out of Clemson, the redshirt sophomore, and that is exactly why he's not very refined. He's a redshirt sophomore. He took over down the stretch for Clemson, was potentially the best player on that defensive line, which had Carlos Watkins, Carlos Watkins, Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, and then Clelin Ferrell. And Ferrell, just in the college football playoff, you'd be scouting some of these other guys like Wilkins and any of these players that they're facing, and 99 just kept popping up, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then I found out he was a freshman, and he dominated the college football playoff as a whole. Was making plays left, right, and center. Really, he started popping up in discussions really around the ACC championship game. I mean, the young guy that was going to be the future going forward was Dexter Lawrence, because Dexter Lawrence is like 6'5", 350, moves like he's about 320. Like this, he was the next big thing. And Clelin Ferrell, I mean, again, he's tall and lanky, but I think he's probably in around that 245, 250 range at about 6'5", 6'6". Very strong player. Just, again, knack for getting to the football. And at this point, at such a young age, that's really what I want. If he decides to come out, great. I think he's going to be a great player at the NFL, and they can coach him up. He's very coachable. He's not one of these raw freak athletes that doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing to a point. He just needs to be kind of honed at what he does. One of my favorite sleeper prospects to watch this year is Dorance Armstrong Jr. out of Kansas. Yes, Kansas is actually draft relevant. I can't remember the last time I actually said that. Undersized guy. Like 6'3", 240-ish. Again, knack for getting to the ball. Kansas's best player on their roster by far. Kind of one of those guys where if you ever wanted to watch a Big 12 game, which, I mean, you don't watch Big 12 for defense. You don't. You watch it because you want to see a team put up 85 points in a game. But Dorance Armstrong is actually able to beeline to the ball. Multifaceted player, can make a difference in the run game, even though the run game in the Big 12 is never really a thing. It's more so focused on the pass game, even though, yes, D'Onta Foreman did lead the FBS in rushing as a Big 12 running back. But, he's got very quick feet, very quick change of direction, too, is able to come around an edge very well. Very flexible player as well. Starting to hear some rumblings of him going in. I actually found out about him through Matt Miller from Bleacher Report, and I watched 3-4 games and just came away very impressed. Hopefully some more mainstream media ends up picking him up by the time the season starts. I think if he's able to do anything at Kansas, and Kansas is able to have any sort of success on defense, it's purely due to the play of Dorance Armstrong Jr. Josh Sweat out of Florida State, former number 1 recruit in the country, I believe, coming out a couple years ago. Had a pretty good freshman year. Tape for his sophomore year, a little bit up and down. Really hoping for some big things from him as a true junior now, especially with guys like DeMarcus Walker not being there to kind of take potential sacks away from him. Good physical athlete. Just really hoping for a step up in production from him. Sam Hubbard out of Ohio State, one of the just countless pass rushers that the Buckeyes have to send at people. Really, again, looking forward to seeing what he can do. It seems like Ohio State is just a factory at this point on defense, just pumping out, 8 and 9 defenders a year, because why the stupid fuck not? Good, solid player. Had a couple of games where I went, oh boy, this guy could be like a top 10, top 15 pick. And a couple of games where I'm like, oh God, this is some pretty ugly tape. Hopefully he can find a happy medium, or shit or get off the pot, really. And the last one I want to talk about is another Alabama kid. I seem to be talking a lot about Alabama every year. But Christian Miller out of Alabama, not really someone I've seen a whole lot of tape on. Had to really wait for someone to put up some tape of him. But from what I've seen in very limited snaps, because obviously there was Ryan Anderson, there was Tim Williams, there's still Sean Dion Hamilton, there's still Rashaan Evans. Like, they have all of these guys that can get to the damn quarterback. Christian Miller played in very limited snaps. I think I saw his game against Washington and his game against Clemson, where he was only playing as a part-time player, but he showed the skill set in his limited snaps that he could potentially become something. Guys like Matt Miller have him as kind of like a top 5, not overall, but like top 5 at the position, top 7 at the position. I've kind of got him as like a disclaimer at the somewhere in my rankings because there's just not enough for me to really go off. So that's going to do it for today, guys. As always, if you like the video, leave a thumbs up. Comment down below with your rankings. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell another friend, and I'll see you guys again soon.